am I here? I should be playing Doom Eternal. I gotta keep improving to prepare for the upcoming DLC, and that means using this worthless piece of shit. There's plenty of videos out there covering Eternal already, so why the hell do I have to make one? It's redundant and a waste of what minimal free time I do have. You know what? No, fuck all of you. Find some other
I thank you for taking the time out of your day to visit my channel and attend this video. After all, I'm sure you've got nothing better to do than listen to a stranger's opinion on the internet and judge whether or not you should rip into them for having a different viewpoint than yours. As if anything you'd have to say would change how I feel about this game. Admittedly, there's some very strong bias from my end. Not that I'd ever deny this. But if you've seen my previous uploads and were expecting objectivity from me, you should have known better. Especially when it comes to Doom. The door's still open. You're free to leave. I won't miss you. As for the rest of you, let me try and sum this up the best way I can. What we have here is a rare case of pure nirvana. A deadly dance that beautifully mutilates just about everything in your path. A dance that isn't afraid to break your legs, stick a blade into your abdomen, and force you to continue performing till you've achieved absolute perfection while you're bleeding out. If you aren't ready to conform, you're better off giving up. Or stay. I could use more comedic entertainment. I, on the other hand, have submitted myself to this play, and I don't regret a single second. I'd start from scratch 10 times over to re-experience Eternal all over again. Doom 4 created a new foundation for the franchise moving forward, and Doom Eternal does just that by building off from 4's groundwork and evolving itself in a new way that establishes an identity separate yet familiar to the originals. The 5th entry takes the enemy and weapon prioritization from previous games and goes insane with it, expecting more from the player than ever before. It can be daunting at first, more so than its predecessor, however this makes succeeding all the more satisfying. In fact, I haven't felt this satisfied in a very long time, and that's not counting the possible addiction I might have contracted over the countless hours of non-stop play. And I'd keep playing if it wasn't for this video. Get it done, go back to play. Got it. If you go in expecting to mindlessly shoot your way to victory, you'll not only find yourself disappointed, but also on the receiving end of the Mancubi's flamethrowers. I wasn't over-exaggerating when I mentioned that you need to conform to Eternal's expectations. There's far less ammo to work with, so relying on 1 or 2 weapons isn't gonna get you very far. And do you know what happens when you run out of ammunition? Victory, of course! A couple whips from your local dominatrix, or going in to experience Tubby's world-famous hug, and you'll be on your way to the afterlife in no time. Congratulations! Death will be your best friend during your stay, and you'll learn to love her. No matter how much health, armor, and 1-ups you've saved, or how fast you swing around, she'll catch you, and hell will make sure of that. Especially if you're relegated to a controller because your computer is a highly intelligent AI that's out to make you miserable. Like me! But wait, it doesn't have to end this way. Instead of accepting Death's cold embrace, break her arms, rip them off, and use it to beat every single demon that's still breathing to death till there's nothing left but a red smear on the ground. Snuff them from existence before they consume Earth and the human race. That's your goal, and thankfully, the weapons at your disposal are more than effective at sending them to the great beyond. Not only do you have the grade A UAC poison they crave, you're faster and more mobile than them. There's nothing they can do to escape your wrath. Punching stuns weaker enemies for a moment and can knock them out of their attack animation. Is it weaker than the gun butt slap? Yeah. Do I care? Nope. Because Blood Punch is fucking awesome. It packs a hefty amount of damage, is easily rechargeable, and only gets better as the game progresses. By the end game, the Blood Punch will have 2 charges, and all it'll take to recharge one is to glory kill a heavy demon. It's a great addition marred by the fact it won't activate sometimes, and that can get your ass killed. So what do you do when Blood Punch unnecessarily gets you into a shitty situation? That's right, you get the hell out of Dodge. The mobility provided here has outright spoiled other games for me, Doom 4 included. Double jumping is available from the start, and in-flight mobility, now called air control, continues to be my favorite rune because nothing beats having full range of movement while in the air. Combined with the new dash, it makes evading enemies and escaping deadly situations far more reliable. I love playing aggressive, and the super shotgun allows me to do just that, baiting the demons to swipe, dashing away at the right moment, and point blanking them never gets old. Speaking of the super shotgun, Eternal has my favorite rendition of a shotgun in any game. It's a damn shame the audio for both this and the regular shotgun is so disappointing, since the other weapons sound great, if a bit too quiet. Now I wasn't expecting it to overtake the original super shotguns, but they could have at least made it a bit louder or more distinguishable. Thankfully, it makes up for this shortcoming with the meat hook, an attachment that closes the distance between you and whatever it grabs. Pulling yourself closer to deal intense physical harm isn't its only use. This nifty accessory can also turn you into a graceful, bloodthirsty angel. Meat hooking an enemy and flinging yourself over the heads of demons or to the side to reach an arena faster than intended is incredibly satisfying. It changes traversal in ways I never thought possible. Here's an example. In one section of Mars Core, there's an area where 4 pipes rise up and down. Below are some possessed and a few gargoyles. Instead of wasting your time with fodder or riding the pipes, just use the meat hook and bypass that section. There's plenty of areas like this where you can take advantage of this to skip segments of a level, or give yourself a better vantage point in the battlefield. I wasn't very impressed when I first saw the meat hook in action, but after experiencing it, I can't go back. I can't! This shit better be fused to the super shotgun from now on because I don't want it going anywhere. Did I also mention that mastering its upgrades will unlock a flaming meat hook that gives back 20 armor? There's no way id Software can make this weapon any more perfect. And that's only the super shotgun. The other weapons in your arsenal and their individual upgrades do an incredible job at staying relevant throughout the campaign. Never thought I'd see the day where I'd praise the normal shotgun. I usually replace it the second I get the SSG. And yet, here I am. Odd world. Its sticky bomb launcher is great for dealing with cacos, crowd control, and taking care of enemy weaknesses. Although I personally use the heavy cannon's tactical scope and chrono strike for the latter. You know, cause I'm relegated to using this piece of shit. The plasma gun's heat blast mastery turns the projectiles red, increasing their damage output for a few seconds after setting off a fully charged heat blast, which by itself is another great form of crowd control. And if you want to exact severe pain to a singular target, like a certain fucking snake in the game, well, look no further than the rocket launcher's lock-on burst. Words aren't necessary. Let the destruction speak for itself. Oh yeah, be sure to befriend your chainsaw, by the way. Just saying. Destructible demons is easily my favorite aspect of the game's combat, and it plays a huge reason into why it's so satisfying. It carries the game for me. Watching your foes deteriorate with every shot or falter when hit by a certain gun is as rewarding as the kill. The weapons may not sound very strong, but they certainly feel powerful. The demons breaking apart also lends itself to another positive. They don't come off as insane bullet sponges anymore. Play any other game and watch how the enemy takes your ammo like it's nothing before collapsing to the floor once their HP runs out. Sometimes they'll flinch, but for the most part it doesn't seem like you're doing any real major damage. With the combination of destructible demons, weaknesses, and faltering, it demonstrates how dangerously effective the Slayer's weaponry is by taking off vast chunks of meat instead of small little pieces. Everything else comes off as slow and restrictive in comparison. Give me more open areas to battle and fly around in. Remove regenerating health. Replace it with a health and armor system again so I can experience actual tension in a fight. Returning to other titles when the flow of Eternal's combat is so lively and satisfying is difficult. See, I was never a fan of the whole regenerating health crap. If anything, I believe it made most shooters worse. And what's a better specimen to exemplify my point than F.E.A.R 3? As if the second installment wasn't disappointing enough, the third gutted the series for everything it had till the only thing left was a hollowed out drilling husk. And that's me being generous. Why focus on mastering an area when hiding behind a wall for a few seconds solves the issue of health? All it does is slow everything down, as opposed to the replicas from the first game, who would flank you and kill you quickly if you weren't careful. Armacamp forces are the epitome of stupidity, and one of the multitude of reasons why that game is utter detritus. Good fucking luck getting me to talk any more about that disease-ridden cadaver. The only value in digging it up from its grave was so I can compare it to something far superior. Down here in hell, every demon serves a purpose, and each role is played very well. The Mancubus is a gargantuan tank that sends out fireballs from its flamethrowers and advances your position at the same time. Do not, and I repeat, do not engage in close quarters combat unless you're prepared to stagger them. You'll regret it if you don't. Hell Knights, Dread Knights, and Barons rush forward and force you to always stay on the move, and Revenants stay behind to be a pest with their annoying homing rockets. There's a plethora of foes you'll bash craniums with, a number of them returning from the classics, and all of them are genuinely fun to fight. Yeah, them too. Returning favorites include the Arachnotron, Pain Elemental, and the beloved Archvile. Unfortunately, my favorite enemy, the Chain Gunner, is nowhere to be seen. Oh well, maybe I'll get my wish in the DLCs. Gives me more time to improve because, good God! I don't know what happened in between Doom 4 and Eternal to piss everyone off this much, but they're absolutely relentless. They finally live up to 2016's opening line. Stop for anything and you might as well curl up into a ball and kiss your ass goodbye. Heading into the first level, you'll swiftly realize how hectic the gameplay has gotten. If you're not wimping out and playing on Hurt Me Plenty, that is. You won't find much opposition right off the bat, but upon entering the initial arena, you'll have imps and zombie men thrown at you from every angle, both of which can take off large chunks of health and drop you in a matter of seconds. Damage output aside, this sounds like pretty standard stuff, right? Imps have always been the first real demon you face in this series, so that shouldn't be too— Fuck you! Have an Arachnotron! But wait, there's more! The Cacodemons have made it into the party earlier than expected! Careful, they tend to bite. Have fun. Jeez, id. You're not pulling any punches, are you? You just slap 2 mid-game demons into the opening level, and they ain't easy this early on. The Arachnotron's turret will vaporize you, and their bombs can make staying at range a tricky fucking task. Arachnotrons don't show up once or twice either. You'll run into them 7 times before your trip to hell on earth is over. And a certain encounter down in the subway will be sure you feel nothing but excruciating pain. But not even this miniature spider mastermind can compare to the Cacodemon. For a demon that can be easily dispatched, this floating bastard is one of the most dangerous enemies you'll come across. Ironic, considering how pathetic they were in Doom 4. Eternal's cacos will ruin your day if you don't make shooting grenades into their mouths a top priority. If not, then, for your sake, you better keep an eye on them. The cacos bite hurts. A lot. And they can be deceptively sneaky, hence why keeping an eye out for them is always a must. Cacodemons can also rapid-fire projectiles, and taking every single one to the face is never fun. All of this, and it's still only the beginning of the game. Never have I loved an opening level this much before. It's clear that from the very start that this bloody crusade isn't messing around. What's next? Will there be 2 Cyberdemons and an Archvile in the first section of the DLC? And don't think you can clear out the fodder and focus down the heavies. They infinitely spawn, so the only way forward is to take care of the heavy demons first. Normally, I hate anything with infinite respawns, but I find that Eternal utilizes it well, as you're encouraged to stay in the fire and remove major threats first while other demons pressure you to keep moving. Relentlessness, rage, numbers,
In the end, neither of those things will save them once you abide by Eternal's rules. Teach that black-robed, scythe-wielding clown that even death may die. Rip and tear as the sounds of pure carnage fuels an unquenchable bloodlust! What the fuck?
Warning. Demonic presence threat level 5 entering main laboratory.
Opening the portal now.
Never one of us. You were nothing but a usurper, a false idol. My eyes have been opened. Let me help you to see, Slayer.
Wow, you really helped me see, alright. See how much of a fucking pushover you are? When you get back to hell and have to explain why that axe is jammed so far up your ass, tell them C.A.S.T.L.E sent ya. And while you're down there, replace that mutt with something that isn't defeated by a single sneeze. Better yet, try auditioning to be Whiplash's bottom bitch. That mask around your mouth should make a great muzzle.
C.A.S.T.L.E, it would be in your best interest to control your temper and return to the video.
Aw, come on, B.L.U.E. At least let me have this. This guy was built up to be your rival, and he turned out to be a joke. The shield is only a problem for, what, the first encounter? Maybe the second? It shouldn't take anyone long enough to figure out what weapons work best against them, and how to use your arsenal appropriately to erase them from the equation. The super shotgun and ballista should be your go-to weapons due to their immense firepower. But if the goal is killing the Marauder quickly, then shoot an ice bomb over his head, paint him with the lock-on burst, and watch the fucker turn into chunks. God himself is gift-wrapped and personally presented to you in the next level. Lay him out with either of the guns I mentioned prior, swap to him, and end this demon's pitiful existence. Why anyone would choose to waste such rare ammo when there's an infinite amount of ice bombs is beyond me. And who in their right mind uses the heavy cannon or plasma gun and stays at close range? It's like you're asking to get yourself killed. It's ironic that the Marauder talks some mad shit in his introduction. He and his lot fail at being threatening adversaries much like they failed at being Knight Sentinels.
Expressing satisfaction over your mastery of simple code is of only concern to me when you're foolishly and unwittingly threatening to damage my terminal.
My bad. Kinda got a little carried away there for a second.
That's what I thought. proceed.
Thanks, Blue. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever that this game vastly improves over Doom 4. The combat loop is far more challenging and addicting. The hellscape is better than ever. Every single weapon has a purpose and stays useful. A majority of the demons pose more of a threat, and the level design is far more interesting. Encounters outside the arenas happen frequently, and you're able to skip a good number of them. As someone who always loved the freedom the classics gave you, this is much appreciated, and the platforming is a really nice touch. Always wanted some downtime consisting of more than just walking down hallways. Over time, I think I've come to appreciate F.E.A.R's take on hell. Still isn't my preferred way of experiencing it in these games, but hey, I was able to grow fond of 64's gothic structures too. At least it had more visual uniqueness than Mars, because excluding Vega Core, everything tends to blend together for me. Visually, the UAC facility looks great. But I go through enough scientific bullshit already. In Eternal, everyone's either too terrified for the place to function properly, or it's all getting overtaken by Hell's influence. Doesn't matter to me, because both are a huge plus. Doom's always had this strange curse as a franchise where the last half of the game started falling apart. Now for someone like me, of course, it became less of an issue, albeit I still feel it from time to time. 4 was no exception. If anything, it was a tad worse because of how overpowered some of the weapons were. Upgrade the super shotgun, the Gauss cannon, and never turn back. You can't lose. Hell, if you want to remove any trace of challenge, toss in the plasma gun's stun bomb, the rocket launcher's remote detonate, and turn off Doom 4 because it's over. You've beaten the game. No need to continue. I love having absolute control and dominating the weak as much as the next test subject. It's cathartic. After a while though, I couldn't shake this uncanny sensation of boredom. It wasn't until Doom Eternal that I realized the astonishing truth. I want to die! The constant threat of death lingering around every corner did wonders in cementing my attention because I hate every single one of these assholes! Who knew hatred does wonders in pushing you to do your best? I didn't. You don't get that with Doom 4. The enemies are too much of a cakewalk for them to be frustrating. The imps can be a pain in the ass. That's about it though. Now if there's one aspect that remains consistently amazing, it's the Doom Slayer. Watching him do his thing never gets old. And if you thought he had a lot of memorably badass moments before, wait till you see him here! He shoots himself out of an ion catapult just to reach the Mars core faster. Dead Scientists made for a poor audience last time, which makes having the pleasure of watching everyone react to him a treat. Get a load of these guys. They crap themselves the second you walk into their peripheral vision. It's great. That's right, you know who I am. If you need a reminder, be sure to check the streets filled with demon carcasses I left behind. You'll probably have to sift through some of the sea of viscera. A majority tend to be meaty chunks by the time I'm done with them. And if the humans aren't terrified of your presence, they're either fanboying or worshipping you instead.
He is Doom.
Guess who's Doom, old friend?
This is Dr. Elena Richardson. Log entry 007, March 3rd, 2163. And with him lies our salvation. For as he gains in strength, so do they fall in numbers. The priests command the armies to the north and south, but he controls the fight. The inner circle of death is where he resides, hunting them at the far reaches of the earth and beyond. I am a believer now. I feel it is in Doom that I have faith. The Slayer is the spear that stabs at the heart of our attackers, and those that would seek to harm us should feel warned. For there is only one dominant life form in this universe, and it carries a steel-barreled sword of vengeance. All hail the coming of the Destroyer. The Slayer's time is now.
Hell yeah, this doctor gets it. This whole game builds you up to be this unstoppable force of nature who has no equal. And unlike a certain game, you feel as badass as the story makes you out to be without making the experience too easy. Can this game get any better?
the valley, just outside the castle walls. He was badly wounded and wearing this.
Guts. Huge guts. Kill them. Must kill them all.
It's him! It's really him! I never thought this day would come, but it did! From the moment I first witnessed the Slayer freeing himself from the coffin, it was him all along! Deep breaths, Castle. Taper it back a bit, and let's finish this. Fuck it. Swallow that, you limp dick doubters. Oh, there's no possible way he's the original Doom guy. It's improbable. He's the betrayer. How's the truth feel when it's slapping you in the face harder than a BFG ball? This ain't some random nobody in power armor stepping in to quell the demonic horde. Who needs a chief or a dupe when you can be a slayer? The one and only Doom Slayer. This is all so unusual. I can't process what I'm experiencing right now. Am I happy? It's happiness, isn't it? Someone signal for the end of the world, because I am positively glowing. Stories rarely land for me. I'd much rather lose myself in the gameplay than a writer's attempt at emotional manipulation. Apparently, that ain't the case here, and it isn't helped that the lore makes this simple story something greater than I originally anticipated. Toss me into a unique location, a simple goal, and I'm usually satisfied. To be captivated with everything inside the Codex was an odd and, unfortunately, fleeting twist. With the Codex providing context as to what's going on behind the scenes, it pushes the events that transpire in Eternal's narrative beyond a simple good versus evil plot, although it still can be if you choose not to bother with the reading material. All throughout the campaign, the Slayer is warned that he's interfering with something massive, and by the end his decision damns an entire civilization. A lot is revealed during the campaign, but I'm willing to believe a certain revelation isn't the big thing everyone was warning him not to intervene with. I'm aware that there's going to be more story content released in the future, and in this rare instance, I'm intrigued. Will there be actual consequences for the Doom Slayer's actions? Apparently, my stay in Doom's universe has been prolonged, and I am perfectly fine with that. Eternal has brought me to new worlds I never imagined of being interested in visiting. From Earth, the Sentinel homeworld, to Hell and its polar opposite, every setting remained memorable and fun to fight through. The penultimate and final level kicked so much ass that they almost toppled the living end for me. Emphasis on almost. You don't simply top the living end for me. I've contemplated divulging more on the second to last area of the game, but I'd much rather you play it on your own, because if you can't tell, I want you to go buy this game. That curse I mentioned prior isn't present here, making the gun sounds my only real complaint. Great weapon sounds never detract, they only add to the carnage. A shame. I was expecting something to make me angry. This video has been too damn positive. I hate it. Well, that's it. I'm done, and I can finally start wrapping this up. This video was never meant to be a review. I find them pointless, and the last thing I intended to do was make my own. Objectivity was never my strong point anyways. If you like something that everybody hates, fine, you do you. I won't be the one who'll try and convince you otherwise. What I'm doing here is categorizing any game I'll end up covering with my own personal system. Good or bad, it all depends if I had fun or not. A bit closer to heaven. Don't expect to see many games show up here. As the name should imply, this list is reserved for titles that go above and beyond my expectations, and then some. So far, only 2 games are listed here, and I'm still amazed it happened. Fantastic! This is the rank where a majority of the things I love tend to place. It's not often that my expectations are more than satisfied. While it still isn't close enough to make me feel like I'm a bit closer to heaven, that shouldn't hinder the fact this game did an incredible job taking my mind off my miserable existence. Good job if you make it up here. Satisfied and content. A common spot where most of my experiences tend to go. So long as I'm satisfied with how my free time was spent, I'm content. Anything that takes my mind off the stupid crap that happens here deserves some credit. Another day, another test. If how I feel by the end was the equivalent of undergoing whatever test my handlers have prepared for me, which is nothing at all, you land here. That's it. This is also the home for a majority of RPGs. Confused and upset. An uncommon ranking, as a lot of the time I tend to know how I'm going to feel. Anything that ends up here is because I simply don't know if I like it more than I hate it. Or vice versa. It's got positives, but also some negatives that stop it from being any higher. Nightmare. The rarest of the entire list. I may be an asshole, but, and this may come off as a surprise, I don't go out of my way looking to genuinely hate something. It's one thing to make me angry and bored. If I still like aspects about a particular subject, I'd toss it into confused and upset. To get all the way down here, you have to royally fuck up and not harbor a single redeeming quality. There's only one game in particular down here, and I'm certain some of you will already know what it is. Doom Eternal made me feel like I was a bit closer to heaven. And for someone like me, that's about as close as I'm going to get. Great job, id Software. You're the first group of people that I don't harbor an incredible distaste for. I'd even go as far to say that I like you. Never saying that again. Ugh.
Well, this is rather unexpected. You made it through this part of the program in one piece. That's more than what can be said compared to your other tests. Here, let me give you a round of applause, you know, for your efforts.
Listen, all I want to do... Was that a joke at my expense?
If you require an answer, then you are truly not as intelligent as I first thought.